without borders, you don't have a country, and the left doesn't want national divisions. It wants the international bodies to rule the world. This is not a conspiracy theory. They say it. They find nationalism, any belief in the importance of one's nation, to be equatable to fascism. So that is part of the battle.
What you just heard was Dennis Prager's opinion on what he calls the moral battle for America. Now, Dennis Prager is a man with many opinions, most of which I disagree with, so I'm going to respond to them, and I'm going to break them down for you, so stick around.
So
why didn't I say K word?
Why didn't you say like the K word?
Because the left has made it impossible to say the N word any longer. That's disgusting. It's a farce. It's the only word that you can't say in the English language.
I'd argue that there are also some other words in the English language that you probably shouldn't be using, but I have no doubt that Dennis Prager probably uses them on a regular basis. Now, the first point I want to make, and forgive me for preaching to the choir, is that the N-word was used during slavery to derogatorily label slaves. It was also used post-slavery to still derogatorily label black people. Now, since then, it's been reclaimed by black people, but why do you want to use it so badly? Why is it so necessary for you to be able to say one word? You have the rest of the English language at your disposal. Why do you have to use the N-word? What it ultimately comes down to is entitlement and whataboutism. White people are so used to everything being made for and about us that the moment something isn't for us, we want it. We have to have it. With that said, moving on to the next opinion.
Whether it is of the non-vaccinated who are the pariahs of America, as I have not seen in my lifetime any pariah group like this. During the AIDS crisis, can you imagine if gay men and intravenous drug users, who were the vast majority of people with AIDS, had they been pariahs the way the non-vaccinated are? But it would have been inconceivable, and should have been inconceivable. They should not have been made pariahs. But yeah, this is kosher. This is okay. You can make the non-vaccinated.
Can you imagine if the gays and those who suffered from AIDS were seen as pariahs in the 80s? Except they were. People were fired from their jobs. People were evicted from their homes. People were disowned by their family members. They couldn't get treated at hospitals. I mean, they were called sinners, and they were told that they deserved what they got for being gay. And there was, and is still to this day, no vaccine for AIDS. And I guarantee you that if there had been a vaccine for AIDS, people would have been jumping on it faster than you can imagine. You can't compare people who refused to get a vaccine for a deadly virus to people who had no choice and no option and no vaccine. Now, I want to move on to our final opinion, so let's take a listen to see what Dennis Prager had to say in this next clip.
Ask people a very simple question, and I did this on my radio show, my great experiment, as I call it, my human laboratory. If you don't get your wisdom and your values from the Bible, tell me what book you get it from. And it was fascinating. The answers were either just sad or non-existent. This was the greatest single revelation I had in my life. And that is that the most secular institutions in the country, the universities, are the least wise. There is more foolishness in the most secular institutions, and therefore I concluded that the proverb is accurate. Wisdom begins with fear of God. When there's no Bible, there's no wisdom.
If we're going with Dennis Prager's definition of wisdom, not only does this discount anyone who's not a Christian, obviously, but I'd say it also discounts most Christians, as in my experience, most Christians I know have never actually read the Bible. I mean, have you ever tried to read the Bible? It is a very difficult read. Most people, even Christians, have not read it. So I guess if you're a Christian and you haven't read the Bible, sorry, you're not wise. But even that definition is ridiculous. The definition of wisdom is learning over time and through experience. You don't have to get wisdom through a book. You can read many, many books and gain wisdom that way, but you can't just learn wisdom like math through a book. It is something that you accrue over time and experience. And that's all I've got for you today. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, if you got something out of it, please like the video, consider subscribing to the channel. It's free, it really helps us out, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.